Hey friends, I'm so freaking excited that you're with me today. I have Tiffany Largie on the show. Tiffany makes millions of dollars a year with nothing more than her story. And in this show, we're going to unpack that. You know how all the gurus out there say they don't care about you, they don't care about your story? Well, Tiffany is about to prove them wrong. So the big question is this: how is a tiny percentage of entrepreneurs blow the pack away? What are they doing that we're not? I asked myself that question for 10 years. I was failing forward and getting sick of it. I wanted to build a coaching business, but couldn't make any headway. So I started studying. I realized that the world's most elite marketers, entrepreneurs, and gurus were all using the same 4-step system. I call it the authority factor. On the show, I'm going to prove to you that the authority factor worked for them and it'll work for you. My name is Ken Dunn. Let's get started. Hey everybody, it's Ken here and I'm back again and I am so freaking excited about this conversation. You probably already know Tiffany Largie. She's known around the world for her ability to teach people that your story is important. For all of those lame gurus out there that say stop telling your story and focus on their problems, this lady is going to tell you that that's BS. Tiffany, how you doing, sister?
Hey, how you doing? Ken, it's good to be here.
I'm super excited to be around you anytime I get a chance to. Tiffany, I am hearing it more than ever. Like literally, I watch the ads that are running. I hear all the gurus talking about it. And if I hear one more person say, you don't need your story, people don't care about your story, I mean, I want to freaking poke my eyes out.
Trust me, you're not the only one. You know, the truth of the matter is that every time I hear that concept, I get more and more determined to teach people how to tell their story because, you know, it's like, yeah, we can tell a story, but telling a story will always be inferior to telling your story, period. Mm-hmm. In a world where everybody, every business owner, and I guess every human for that matter, we're looking to stand out, be unique, be different, capture the attention of in a short period of time. If I lead with a story versus my story, then I stand the risk of delivering something the world has already heard before. But the world has never met Tiffany Largie. I'm the first one. I'm going to be the last one, which means if I really want to stand out, I got to lead with that first.
And so the part that was really bugging me, and especially like I've been thinking this way for a while, and hearing you and your mission, it just so is on point, is that, you know, I come from the old world of selling. And I actually, before that, I was a police interrogator. I used to interrogate murder suspects. And the way we would get people to confess, we would get them to like us. And then in sales in the early days, I was teaching people aren't going to buy from you until they know you, they like you, and they trust you. And the thing we used to do to get people to like us is connect with them.
Build rapport. Story. Yeah, for sure.
Like, where do you think this came from, that these gurus are out there now saying your story's not important? Like, what?
You know, it's almost like there's two different types of people who are selling out there. And for the person who's listening, I ask you to make a decision, decide which bucket are you going to fall into. Like for me, I've been running a business for 17 years. I've made millions of dollars and trained tons of sales teams. And the truth of the matter is that you can sell and sell once, and then therefore your focus is on selling on volume, which means you're constantly looking for the next sale. You're constantly looking for the next person. I don't care what price point that is. But on the other side, on the other hand of this thing, you can make a decision to sell on value. And when I say sell on value, think of it as the difference between making cash and the difference between making money. The person who's constantly having to find a new sale, and you're constantly having to find a new sale because you didn't connect with that person, because there was nothing that tied you and the person who was buying to the fact that you were solving a problem. And in that, if there's no connection, then there's no glue. And if there's no glue, then the truth is that you're going to constantly have to find another person to fill that space. That's making cash temporary, short term, not consistent, not dependable, right? On the other side of it, like for us at Do the Damn Thing Nation, we are hyper focused on teaching how to make money, because money allows us to build a connection that lasts. And when you think of just helping people or moving your products and services, or however you want to frame it, you want that person to not only be sticky, but you want them to be excited. You want them to think of you first. You want them to be the first person to be like, oh my God, you got to go call Ken because of this. You don't want to constantly be chasing a new sale. You want to take the person you sell to and then figure out, be clear on how to create more dollars out of that original sale, whether it's in the form of a referral, a second purchase, or they become their own brand ambassador, which they go, oh my gosh, I flipping love Ken. I absolutely need you to see what he's doing over here. I don't even want anything from it. The same way I feel about Apple products.
What about people that are just getting started? So like the how to launch an expert business event, obviously it's about how to launch an expert business. It's specifically designed for people that have a burning desire in them to help other people, and they don't know where to get started. What I love about your gracious acceptance of speaking at our event is I think that if people really understand how to position their story as kind of like the tip of the spear, I think the whole journey gets easier for them. And I've not heard you say that, but I'd love your feedback on it, if in your thoughts, whether good or bad.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's so crazy because actually at this moment, I'm in a building in which I ran my very first workshop 5 years ago. And what's so fascinating for me, I happen to be here because we are working here in this city. And I was thinking to myself this morning, there was a time in which I didn't feel like anybody really wanted to hear my story. I mean, I built a 7-figure business. My business partners were Xerox Corporation and Hewlett Packard. And then I kind of came into the personal development or business coaching or however you want to call it. But I didn't have any friends, peers, or allies. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a list. I didn't have people going, oh, you should listen. I didn't have any endorsements. I had my story, and then I had my kind of focus and determination. And in that beginning part, there's 1 or 2 choices you've got to make. Like at first, I could have continued to harp on, well, please let me on your stage. Please listen to what I have to say. But you know what ended up happening? I started creating my own experiences. It was like, fine, if you don't want to let me on your stage, well, then forget it. I will create my own stages. And what's so real for me is that I look back to 5 years of me making that very scary decision, because like I didn't have a team. I didn't really know how events went. I was like, well, what do you do with people? And so I literally, no BS, I rented a room. When people started to arrive, I literally went to the front lobby. I was like, do you guys have pens? Do you have paper? And I was like, flip, we were supposed to give them something. And no lie, it's an 8 to 5 event. I hire I have a volunteer who comes to check people in with a printed out list, and it was my very first event. It was a tour called Where Is Your Business Going? As afraid as I was, I made a decision to create my own stage so that I could tell my story. And I was like, well, if I get people into the room, then they're going to at least listen to my story for a little longer than the 6 seconds or the 62 seconds and so on and so forth. And from that commitment to making my own platform to tell a story, Do the Damn Thing Nation was born.
Wow. Amazing. Before we listen, for everybody that's here, I'm going to ask Tiffany something that I'm hoping she's never been asked before.
Oh, this is good. I'm leaning in for this. Do it.
But before we do, friends, I just want to tell you that Tiffany is speaking at our event, How to Launch an Expert Business. And if you've ever had anybody ask you for advice, if you've had people asking you for advice for a while, and you've often thought to yourself, I know that there's a way I could lead a coaching business, that I could make money, make this my full-time career helping people, this event is for you. So make sure you click on the link above or below or wherever it is, wherever you're consuming this information, and join us at that event. Tiffany, I'd like to know about the first person that you ever helped that really honed in their story. And if you can remember that person, I'd like you to tell me a little bit about them, but I'd like to know specifically about the difference it made in their journey when they really grasped the power of telling their story.
God. No one's ever asked me that question. You were right. Okay. I got 2 people who come to mind, and I'm going to talk about them both really quickly because they're both in my heart. So one of them is Helen Moses, and she actually came to that tour in the event that I'm talking about now. It was called Where's Your Business Going? I set up these cities across the country. I didn't know what I was doing. She was invited by a friend. She came into the room. She listened to me for some hours, and she said to me, during the break, I don't know if I think I'm going to stay because of this, that, and the other. And I said to her, well, you have to stay because number one, you haven't mastered telling your story. And number two, I promise you, your story is the greatest asset that you have to not only growing your business, but setting you free. And I know as a woman, you're not set free yet. And she stared at me. Fast forward. She was angry. She was pissed off. So that conversation didn't go well. She kind of was like, well, who the hell are you? Kind of a thing. And she became a client to work with us in our program. And, you know, one of my greatest excitements is that in the last 60 days, she reached out to us to say, I wrote a book. I'm a published best-selling author. And I'm the first 2 chapters of her book, as she talks about. She's like, it would mean the world to me if I could interview you. And it's the book has, you know, people are, I forget what category it's in, but it's about her story and her journey. But I'm the first 2 chapters and we had no idea. And she talks about that day and that experience and how much her telling her story made her an actual leader, a better mom, a better CEO, better team member for her teams and her employees. She made more money than she had ever made. She sold her programs and, you know, products with confidence. Second is Ana Gonzalez. And Ana Gonzalez, she had worked with other people for some time. Fast forward, she made a decision to, one day I said to her, well, you know, I know these people are teaching all this strategy and tactical stuff, but what if you just took your story, stop putting yourself second and put yourself first? You know, what's real is that I not only watched her step up and become a stronger leader, but she just became a different human altogether. And the power of story, what it did for her is it allowed her to go from 4 or 5 people in her facility to 10 people who were working underneath her. She ran a 4,000 square foot facility in her business where at first it was just this kind of tiny idea. And the truth of the matter is that she then turned around to all the people in her life who encouraged her to keep her story secret and said, no. Not only am I going to tell my story, but I'm not going to keep apologizing for it. And I'm not going to manage your insecurities anymore. And that last part, when you think about growing a business, growing online, like regardless of where you are, making a decision to no longer manage other people's insecurities is probably one of the biggest hurdles that all of us, and Ken, I'm sure you'll agree with me, in just growing. Whether you're starting at 0, you're getting to your first $2,000, your first $10,000, or so on and so forth. Being true to you and how you do things and what's right for you is being true to what's in your story. And no, I'm not going to hide my ugly because my ugly made me. The lessons that I'm going to teach you with, whether it's online or offline, is exactly what makes me the absolute best solution for you.
Awesome. Friends, that's exactly why you need to join us February 27th and 28th at How to Launch an Expert Business. Tiff, thanks for dropping by today.
No, thank you. I'm so excited about this event. Listen, I haven't seen a lineup this good in a hot minute. So I'm going to highly encourage you, whether the link is here or down here, grab it, make it a must, say yes, and don't hesitate. Just do the damn thing.
All right. We'll see you soon. Thanks, Tiffany.